Cool. All right. Happy Monday, everyone. Welcome. It's the tail end of the partner forum. So, how exciting to be here. And there's lots of members of the Compass team here. So, I will have the caveat. There's a slide or two towards the end, which will be embargoed to you because they were asking, share your next steps. And you're going to see next steps in the presentation. The rest of our colleagues will hear that Wednesday. So mum's the word. So our presentation today, charting our North Star. So Compass Charter Schools charting our North Star. The agenda with our 30 minutes or so, 29 minutes now, give you a peek into the mission, vision, and values of Compass, a brief overview of Compass Charter Schools, an overview of our partnership with the Learner Centered Collaborative, and then we'll head into our work from this year and moving us into the future, the framework for the future. There's a follow up slide that should say follow us. Whoops. That's a mistype on my part, but it's a similar slide deck that I use for every presentation. So you too are going to see some of the commonalities in every Compass presentation that I give with that slide, and then a Q&A if there's time, if you have questions, or if you're just ready to wrap up the day as we move into the 1 o'clock hour. All right, so the mission and vision of Compass Charter Schools. Our mission is to inspire and to develop innovative, creative, self-directed learners, one scholar at a time. And the one scholar at a time piece really speaks to the personalized learning nature of our school, and really what we're trying to accomplish through our vision, which is to create a collaborative virtual learning community, inspiring scholars to appreciate the ways in which arts and sciences nurture a curiosity for lifelong learning and prepare scholars to take responsibility for their future success. We're a virtual school, an exclusively virtual school. So personalized learning, looking at one scholar at a time in this virtual space, which has its areas of opportunity and its areas of successes as well. Our values, the core values, Arctic. We believe in achievement, respect, teamwork, integrity, and communication. I've spent some time defining what Arctic means for scholars, for parents, for staff, for the community, in case the community too wish to be Arctic, which is kind of fun when you think about having core values. Arctic, which is a little cold, and then the Firebird or the Phoenix. I don't know the plural of Phoenix, which is also why we go by Firebirds. If somebody has the dictionary and can tell me the plural of Phoenix, Phenai, I don't know. So that's why it's the Firebirds. It gets too complicated, and you don't want to have it be too complicated. All right, overview of Compass. This year we're celebrating our 10th anniversary. We were incorporated October 28th, 2011, and here we are 10 years later, 10 years strong, and looking forward to the next 10 plus years as a public charter school system. We operate in 18 counties. It's pretty unique when you're a non-classroom based public charter school. Allows you to serve scholars in the county in which you're authorized, as well as all of the adjacent counties. So all this information is as of October 6th. From our annual report, we actually are serving a little north of 2,500 scholars total, but you can see our geographic stretch, Northern and Southern California, 18 total counties, LA, San Diego, and Yolo, so through three separate charter schools. Let's see, in the chat box, I was preparing myself. There's a link to the Superintendent of Schools page where you can find a copy of all of our annual reports from the last several years. So if you're curious to dive into more data and information, you can go there. This year, 214 full and part-time employees at Compass, serving and supporting 2,500 plus scholars in grades TK through 12. And as a network or as a family of schools, everything we do is similar or the same across, and we just share resources, and we just share everything. Let's do a little bit more show and tell of Compass. We are a virtual school, but we're so loud and proud about everything that we do. So here's a link to our news page, so you can see a lot of our blogs, our newsletters. When you're virtual, it's hard. There's no classroom for folks to go and see and observe your work, but you are doing, and we are doing, I know we're doing amazing work in service of scholars. And so we've got to find other ways to be loud and proud, to show and tell the work that we're doing. And so we do that through press releases, weekly blog posts, and our newsletters. And so that link will share with you all of those things if you wish on your own time to take a peek and take a gander. And then finally, again, we're virtual, and we want you to be able to see our scholars telling their story, our parents telling their story. So there's a testimonials site as well. So have at it, enjoy. If you unmute and you click on one of those links, we might hear the video in the background, so we'll know if you're multitasking. Okay, now our partnership overview with the Learner Centered Collaborative. We've been partners for a while now, and it all started back in the day when LCC was actually known as Alt Schools. So that's a while back, and we actually were partnered up when we worked with the CCEE in California. Well, EduSpeak, there's just acronyms galore, and so that's the acronym for the California Collaborative of Educational Excellence. And so back in the day, about 4 or so years ago, we worked with CCEE on some LCAP support. Because we wanted the LCAP to serve as our strategic plan in California. If you're from a partner school that's outside of California, all public schools get to do the LCAP goals and actions, tie it to dollars and resources, report on it at the end of the year, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We wanted to strengthen that, so we worked with the CCEE, who said, hey, we've got a partner for you, and that was Devin and Alt School. And so began the partnership. And 2 years ago, we did a book study with, I think at that time, Altitude Learning. Now, I rebrand, I don't rebrand Compass this often. I might do org chart changes this often, but, we each have our thing, I guess. So we did a book study, the 4 disciplines of execution, so that we could set our wildly important goal for Compass. And how are we going to measure the success to that goal? How are we going to make something school-wide that both academics and non-academics alike can align to and focus on? And then this past year, we've been working on, I'm going to say, strategic planning, because it's sort of all-encompassing. We were realizing, and then in California and all the other schools, there's plans upon plans upon plans, and then some, and then you decide you might want to make your own types of plans that aren't even required. So there's a lot of things happening in our world. The LCAP, the strategic plan, the ESSER 3 thing, the ELO thing. There's another, there's just a lot. And so that sort of is what moved us into, not a social media takeover, but almost. It could have been because of that. So we'll pause. We're going to pin it and say, what did that move us all into? All of these plans as we think about strategic planning. I put this in here, social media takeover. I was able to take over LCC's channels last week. So go back in time on the 8th to at LCC Collaborative, Twitter, Instagram. You'll learn more about Compass because we stole the reins and then we gave them back. So take a look. Because that's going to also showcase a little bit about Compass, but also the work that we're doing with LCC. What are we doing? Well, we're framing our future. This is what's getting us into our North Star. And so thinking about, again, that strategic planning, we've got a mission, a vision, our values, the LCAP, the strategic plan. We've got a WIG goal. I should put my book down. There's just a lot of things that were happening that we were trying to work on. And so how can we and how could we bring this all together? So in September, we worked with LCC to map out the 21-22 school year and beyond. And it was to help us create our framework and our blueprint. And there's folks who can do better design work than I can. So my stick figures, I didn't do this at all, because it would have been stick figures, but they figured out that there's actually a house that is our blueprint. And our mission that I read to you earlier is the foundation to everything that we do at Compass Charter Schools. Everything we do is in service to scholars, and it's one scholar at a time. To allow the mission to come to life, we leverage our core values, we leverage our LCAP, and we leverage some enabling conditions for our staff and for our organization through a strategic plan, which has 4 goals, through learning experiences to accomplish our WIGs. And at the end of the day, we're really trying to allow our scholars to accomplish something, and that's our scholar outcomes. This list, I think with ideation, my favorite part of design thinking, I think apparently there's 5 stages of design thinking. I get stuck on ideation. There's like 2 more stages afterwards, but ideation is my favorite. And we were looking at our outcomes of scholars. What do we hope scholars will achieve when they leave Compass, whether that's at 8th grade or mid-year or when they graduate? Hopefully when they graduate, but life happens. There's circumstances that happen. So we had 10 of these. We were able to narrow it down into 4. And then again, all in service of our vision, because we want to ensure that our scholars are able to take responsibility for their future success. So at the end of the day, scholars can take responsibility for their future success, and all of that has to happen through this work. We spent a lot of time this year on the framework for the future. We actually spent a lot of time on a lot of things in partnership with the Learner-Centered Collaborative. They only gave me 30 minutes instead of a full day to do some show and tell. So I'm just gonna breeze through a little bit of this work, but the logos here are to represent that throughout the course of the 21-22 school year, we work directly with our Scholar Leadership Council, our Parent Advisory Council, our Staff Advisory Committee, our leadership team, and our Board of Directors to ideate on the future of Compass. What will Compass look like as we march on? They were able to, in each of these groups, work with Katina Hancock and Cesar, who's joining us today, to think through and to dream big. What does it look like at the end of a school year or end of a learning experience? And we're able to hear from scholars and parents. What are we doing now that's working out well? Where are there areas of opportunity? And what might be some things that should potentially leave our plate as we think about some of the staff here, what's on my plate exercise. So a lot of dreaming, a lot of ideation, a lot of reframing, reframing, so on and so forth. What that brought us to was our scholar profiles, what we want our scholars to leave Compass with. We want our scholars to be community leaders and effective collaborators, confident learners, and innovators. And it all get done through these learning experiences, which are personalized, authentic, competency-based, and equitable and inclusive. And this is where that was the easy work. It was easy. And my staff are probably going, what do you mean that was easy? Because there's the next step, that's the heavier lift, which is bringing all of this to life over the next 3 to 4 years. But it's this work that is going to help set Compass Charter Schools apart from the other 1,200 public charter schools which exist in the great state of California. There's a number of non-classroom based schools who are doing personalized learning. And I know this is being recorded, and so I should be mindful of that, but I will just say, because I'm open and honest, I've drank a lot of coffee and just will ramble on and on and on. There's a lot of schools doing very similar things. And at times, the differentiator between some schools is the logo, who's on staff. And so you've got to find other ways to differentiate yourself. And that's why we say this is helping us define our North Star and truly define gold standard work. Not every non-classroom based public charter school is going to be graduating community leaders and effective collaborators, confident learners and innovators, but Compass will be. And so when parents and families are looking for through school choice, looking for a public school or a public charter school, when they come to Compass, they're going to know that when they leave Compass, these are the competencies that their scholars will have achieved during their time with us. It's really important for us to have that as our North Star, as our guiding light. And we've been working on this all year. All year in a number of ways. We've actually been working on coaching support. All of our leaders are receiving support, thinking about where they are and where they hope to be. But it's all in service of now this framework. We've aligned our work. We rewrote again. So thinking about LCC's changed their name a few times. I've changed our org chart a few times. We rewrote our job descriptions 3 times in a single school year. What? But this last iteration was to ensure that our job descriptions align to the framework. And our employee growth model and employee growth plan will speak to the framework. That all professional learning over the next 4 years is in service to the framework. And that it's digestible so that we don't do what I call the fire hydrant training effect. In August, give everybody all things. Because that's a lot of stuff. And if you try to drink from a fire hydrant, you only get a little bit of the water. And then all the other water in this drought is wasted and elsewhere. So we're going to be intentional with what we do in service to the framework. This is the embargoed piece. Again, I see some of the Compass staff here. Mum's the word. Pretend like it's a surprise Wednesday at 2. What's next with the framework? We are a virtual school, and we will be bringing all 200 of our employees together in San Diego for our all-staff retreat. The theme of the retreat, again, Mum's the word, Compass. I'm going to keep on saying that. Mum's the word. Our retreat theme is the Firebird Gold Rush. And that's our theme for our 4 days together. And what we hope to achieve when we come together is, of course, build community and connection. We want all staff to gain familiarity with the framework. Good. I'm holding you to that, Jeannie. And how it connects to our roles, responsibilities, and my personal growth and development, our personal growth and development. So we don't just personalize our work with scholars, we should be personalizing our work with our staff and with each other as well. Provide opportunity to meet team needs. There's a lot going on, and so our folks need some time to do that important work too. And then synergy and excitement as we kick off this next school year. We're leaving the COVID years, I hope. We're getting out of that. And so let's reset ourselves and gain some excitement for the upcoming school year. We have done some neat work already to launch the framework. Again, as a virtual school, it's hard to have the entire leadership team on a stage to show unity and unison and presenting this information. So one of the things that we did was actually have each member of the leadership team paired with a colleague so that they could attend team meetings and share together, bounce off of each other, the sharing and telling. So it wasn't just me in a town hall sharing it, but they could do that in smaller team meetings and team settings. Now you're thinking, Gold Rush, what the hey? There's a point and purpose to that. Who knew? And Katina Hancock helped me understand this as she learned it herself. There's a lot that goes into gold mining, a lot. And so that's what we're going to be doing at our retreat. We're going to be prospecting on the first day. We're going to explore the framework and unpack it a little bit, get to know it a little bit more. On Tuesday, we're going to stake a claim and figure out how does my work and how does my team work tie into and link into Compass's work. And then we're going to do some extraction. The wigs aren't going anywhere. We actually added another one, sorry. But there's an internal looking wig to build culture and an external wig to ensure that all of our scholars are graduating on time and when they need to be graduating. We're doing some refining and looking at our growth plans, our new employee growth plans, and then Eureka! the gold, not fool's gold, real gold. Um, what are we going to collectively agree to move the work forward? So that's a little preview of how we're actually going to utilize the framework and utilize our work into this new school year. I encourage you to follow Compass on social media. Lots of stuff happening in this virtual environment where we do that show and tell. And then I went quick. I talked fast as the coffee. I think I'm 6 cups in. Sorry, I see Deborah in here. I know you're not supposed to drink too much coffee. I did. I do. But happy to answer questions about the work that we're doing in service of our scholars with the framework. There's a lot of balls in the air that Compass is engaging in and that we're really excited about. And there's some of the things that you don't see on the screen that's going to happen over the summer to prepare ourselves. Our staff are going to be able to self-select their professional learning pathways for the upcoming school year in service to the framework. Our scholars are going to have connection meetings with our staff in service of the framework. We're doing this to look not just at academics and test scores, but the whole scholar experience. The whole world is our classroom, and we need to be able to utilize our classroom, the whole world, to showcase how we're meeting our scholar profiles. So happy to engage in some Q&A if there are any, to go back and unpack anything as well. Happy to do whatever you all who are gathered here today want to do with our last 8 minutes or so together. Feel free to
I'll kick off a question for you, JJ. As a virtual school and engaging in this work of mindset coherence, if you will, and change of direction, what have been some of the levers you've pulled and used to facilitate the forward progress? Because I heard you talking about student interaction, staff interaction, teacher interaction. Just as you're reflecting on this journey, what are some of the high yielding levers that you've used?
Yeah, I think it's important to realize, at Compass, in any school or place, we serve a certain clientele. They sort of vote with their enrollment or unenrollment, and so I always say at Compass is not my school. I am just a lead facilitator here, and it's important then to have these conversations throughout the year to help chart the journey and to look at the milestones and whether those milestones have been reached or not. That's why it was important for us to utilize our scholar leaders and our parent leaders and engaging in conversation and to do check-ins. So throughout this school year, had our parent advisory council or scholar leadership council said, "Ooh, no, that's not the direction to go in," we would have paused, rethought, recentered, and found a new way forward. But our scholars said, "Yeah, I wish that we were having more robust conversations about what I'm doing in the community that directly relates to my learning." Our scholars are the chair of our Scholar Leadership Council, who is graduating tomorrow. I'll give her diploma at 10 a.m. in San Diego. Community service throughout the week and on weekends, hundreds of hours this year, but in service to her learning. And she wanted to be able to showcase that. And as we asked her, "Do you think this would have allowed you, if we were doing it this year, would the framework have allowed you to talk about being a community leader?" Of course it would have. Right. And I wish it would have, and I can't wait for folks after me to have that opportunity. Our parent advisory council members were talking about their excitement and joy in being able to showcase and talk about what their scholars are doing in and outside the home, the community, the classroom as well. So it's really about those check-ins and leveraging the folks who are your biggest, maybe your biggest fans or your biggest attractors, the folks enrolled or employed in your entity.
JJ, should be proud of the work what you've done, your team has done, the investment, the commitment, and the enthusiasm rolling into as you close out this final leg of 21-22 and what you will get to embark on 22-23. So congratulations to you and your team.
But I was just say the team's here, so well, a lot of the teams here. So thank you, team. There are a lot of folks whose voice is being part of this work in so many different stages and phases, and so we want to make sure it doesn't feel like drinking from the fire hydrant. We want to make sure it feels natural and it feels like it's in service because it is. It's in service of those that we serve. We've got to support ourselves and elevate our own work, but then we've got to elevate the work of our scholars and help them prepare for a very bright and successful future. So appreciate the partnership of LCC. Our retreat is all about the framework. I see a thank you from Katie Martin. She will be coming in and serving as our keynote at our retreat. It's so important, the work we're doing. And meeting the needs of those you serve is so important. So thanks, team. Thanks, LCC. Thanks, guests.